faster. Living off borrowed time. The clock faster. Living off borrowed time. The clock tick 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 faster.
Welcome to the Living Off Borrowed Time podcast. I am your host, Patrick, joined as always by Caleb, OptimalAudio. Worst intros in the game. No matter how professional I try to make my voice sound while I'm doing them, I'll still trip over my words because I'm thinking way too hard about what I'm going to say. Our intro music was by June Classic off the Billy Woods album. Today I Wrote Nothing, the song Borrowed Time. That was the outro. And this week we have another two-hander for you. On the first half of the episode, we'll be discussing the discography of Run the Jewels, LP, and Killer Mike Render, and Jamie Moline, if you want to use their government names about it. And on the second half, we'll be discussing the Kanye West Wyoming period, which just went over its 2-year anniversary. I think it's a very misunderstood period in his career, and like musically, I think there's a lot to say about it that got lost because of how incredibly Kanye was in that period publicly, like just overshadowed. Like no one was willing to give the music a chance after the fucking TMZ interview. Let's be honest. Like the mainstream Kanye fan was not going to go listen to the Tiana Taylor album after he did that fucking interview. So I think that there's a lot there that's worth reevaluating. Some that isn't, but we're going to reevaluate all of it regardless. So yeah, that's what we have for you this week.
Sounds good. Can't wait. A lot of good music to be discussed this episode.
Right, and obviously with the political situation in the country, I think there's discussions on both sides to be had. I think obviously the Run the Jewels albums have a political element to them more and more with each one. Well, the third one more than any of them, I would say, although the fourth one came out deliberately, I would say. Well, they announced it. When did they announce the release date? Because this was one of the ones they did announce a release date for ahead of time. They dropped it a little early just because, as they put out in the release, everything sucks, have it early. But
yeah, I think it was supposed to come out a few weeks after.
No, it was supposed to come out a few days before it did. But
a few days, okay.
Yeah, but they did actually announce it, which the other ones I think were all surprise drops.
I remember 2 and 3 being surprises.
Yeah. I remember 3 exactly came out on Christmas because everybody made the same fucking joke. It was a Christmas fucking miracle.
Yeah. Real original, guys. Once one guy makes it, everyone's going to make it.
So, but yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about it. But I guess the best place to start with them would be not a Run the Jewels album, but Killer Mike's rap music, which is the first time they collaborated. It's a full producer album for Killer Mike with LP, which nobody thought anything really of it at the time. It was Killer Mike was on William Street, the Adult Swim music label, and it was just one of the things that the Adult Swim label would do. They would take like an internet artist and a trap artist and kind of put them together. Seemed a little gimmicky on its face, but this is an incredible fucking album if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have made this is like Ice Cube, Death Certificate, America's Most Wanted, kind of like for the 2010s. And I would agree with that. I think there's not a track on here that's wasted, and it opens with a fucking run of songs like that. The fact that you get Bun B and T.I. on your opening track and they all kill it, like that just set the tone for the whole album.
I mean, he says it right out the gate, hardcore G shit, homie, I don't play around. And that is very much what you get on the first track. That is one of the hardest first intro tracks of all time, any genre, period. Just beats the shit out of you. Every verse harder than the last.
Yeah, and that really, like, the entire album is just an adrenaline rush. It's 12 tracks, it's like 45 minutes, and you just get repeatedly punched in the face for 45 minutes.
I said it was gimmicky on its face. I guess that's not necessarily true because people always made the comparison of LP's production to like the Bomb Squad. So, given the real political bent of Mike's lyrics, I guess the Public Enemy comparison, like, it kind of seems like more natural than you would think. So, and yeah, like, it's not just like there's a really good variety on this album. I think you have like the hype tracks, but you also have story songs like JoJo's Chillin', Willie Burke Sherwood, and uh, Reagan. You could say is a story
Yeah.
song in a way. It's also just one of the best political rap songs of all time. Like infinitely re-listenable. The points that he makes, it's like it's nothing that people shouldn't already know, but a lot of people didn't know, I think. And the way he lays it out, it's just like an airtight case. And the production is so just like fucking black and doomy, and it fits the subject matter perfectly.
And the way that Reagan and Don't Die come back to back, like, those songs sadly just have not aged. You know, just because of how relevant that they still are.
Actually, I
Like,
haven't even really thought about this, but like JoJo's Chillin' has a lot to do with those two songs too. You think about like the character in JoJo's Chillin'.
yeah, and like how it kind of like could lead into those two. The sequencing on this is excellent.
I mean, like JoJo's Chillin's a bit more of like a comedic take on it, but still. But
Right.
it's a funny album. It's more or less is an angry album. When you think about like rebellious African people music, like that's what the acronym stands for. It's going to be angry. But Mike's a funny dude. Like you get a lot more of that on the Run the Jewels albums. Although they start out funny and get sadder and angrier as they go, I think. I mean, well, 4 a little bit like tries to like. I think 3 is the saddest of them all, and then 4 tries to like take it back a little. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Mhm.
But again, like Mike's like pretty much always has punchlines except for a few songs where, because one of the things about Mike, I think his rapping style comes a lot from like he takes a lot from preaching. I would say, like street preachers or just like gospel preachers. Like he has that way of delivery. Like it's very commanding, very emotional, and very powerful.
Yeah, and he has. I mean, his voice itself is super like commanding and can like, you know, really draws you into a song. But then I also think he benefits from the fact that like a lot of his lyrics are so sharp and meaningful in a context of an album like this. But he's not beating you over the head with it. He's just telling you like real shit, like what it is. And it seems so unforced and just natural for him.
I agree. Like they're like it's a quote unquote conscious album, but I don't think that he's ever just like Talib Kweli style term paper rapping at you on it. Like there's always a feeling I have with rappers like gangster rappers, trap rappers, whatever, where they have like a token conscious track they'll put on the end of their albums. Like E40 will have 18 tracks about how great it is selling cocaine, and then one track at the end about how selling cocaine is terrible and ruining the community. Like, and it feels kind of forced. There's none of that on this album. It feels like very natural. Like these are the things that Mike actually thinks about. He's not saying this because feels obligated to. He's saying it because it's just like what he feels compelled to. How like I don't know. I'm not saying this very well. I guess Butane's worth talking about because it's the first Run the Jewels song,
Yeah.
technically.
Do you think that this was like when LP was, you know, doing all the beats for this, did you think that they already knew they were going to make albums like as a group together?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. So it was just the success of this one that you think was just like the obvious.
Worked together so much that they decided that they'd like to do an album together, and then they liked that so much they decided they wanted to be a group.
Yeah, that makes sense. Butane's really good.
Yeah, Butane's good. I think they would do so much better together, but it's like you can tell the chemistry with that they have with each other on that song. It's evident. So it's got a really good hook. It's like really, although as far as like anthems they would have for each other would go, they top that with like the title track / intro track on Run the Jewels. Then they would top that again, I think, on RTJ3 with I forget what it's called, but it's the one where it's like everybody down through the pistol and fist, and it's the what the fuck is it? Like, because I think that's like probably now like their group song.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that again. I
Yeah,
keep skipping up on this. There's not a bad song on here. Like, and it's 45 minutes. It's pretty much like the ideal rap album sequencing and length. There are so many quotables. Like every song has like a killer line that will stick with you.
Yeah. I mean, like the obvious ones, like the "pow, motherfucker, pow," like on the intro, like
Right.
That's the line that like everybody quotes. This is another thing about Killer Mike is up to this point, at least in my view, he had made a couple good albums. Like his albums were good, but they weren't. They weren't his like rapping and his like sequencing. Everything here, he just sounded better. The songs were better. His hooks were better. His like raps were just that like much more sharper. Like I feel like he hadn't made like his career apex kind of album that I think people knew he had in him. Because we always knew Killer Mike could rap, even when he was showing up on like Outkast songs way back in the day, and like stuff like that. But I feel like it took LP. Everyone talks about how Killer Mike brings a lot out of LP, like producing wise and raps. But I think LP brought the absolute best out of Killer Mike as well.
Well, I mean, I think LP's career peak as a producer was way back in 2001 with the Cold Vein, but
yeah,
this was like definitely like a career renaissance for him as a producer. Like he was still doing. He never fell off as a producer. As a rapper, I never enjoyed him until Run the Jewels. As a rapper, I always had a problem with him where I felt like earlier he was like one of those, like I had the same problem with Quali, it's like just on Quali before. Maybe Quali will become like a new target of the show, like Logic and J. Cole, where every week hitting on Talu Quali for some reason. I mean, he made Black Star. I can't shit on the guy.
Yeah.
But, no. But where I had the same problem where he's always trying to cram way too many syllables and way too much into each bar, and it's like not quite the super lyrical miracle thing, but it's like just so overstuffed and overwhelming all the time. And I didn't find his jokes to be funny. I found his presence and flow to be overwhelming and obnoxious. And for the longest time, although I always really liked to love his instrumentals on his solo stuff, Cold Vein especially, like I said, like fucking incredible. And then around this time, he made I'll Sleep When You're Dead, which I think is one of the most progressive hip-hop albums in terms of production and one of the more insufferable ones in terms of rapping. I love it as a producer showcase, and I can only vaguely tolerate it as a rap album. Although Flyentology is an incredible song. And then Cancer for Cure, which came out around this, it sounds almost nothing like this. It's weird they came on the Sessions. There's a great song with Mike on there too, but I don't really think that sounds as Run the Jewelsy as this because of the Cancer for Cure production. I think there's other people on it. It's a Tougher, Colder, Killer, I think. I think there's like other rappers on that song too, so it doesn't sound cool. This sounds like a Run the Jewels song. This sounds like it could have been on RTJ1 and it would have fit right in. So, last two songs on this. Oh yeah, I never got to finish my LP point. Is that I think the production here is like it would become his new style, or at least his RTJ style. He hasn't really done any production outside of the RTJ projects since he started doing Run the Jewels. He did do a film score recently, which is kind of dark ambient and it's interesting. People are shitting on it on RYM, but it's not bad. Kind of wish he would do some more outside production to see, because he's very capable of it. But I think the production that he's doing now with RTJ is like it gets more adventurous with each project. It feels like less abrasive, but like the stuff like the Mike album, the Southern influencers are there, clearly. Like, you have stuff like Southern Fried, obviously, and Ghetto Gospel. But, so I guess it's kind of like halfway between some Southern shit, like, of the Outkast UGK variety, and halfway between Company Flow. But that almost seems like too simple of a description.
Yeah, I think LP pulls from a lot of shit. And going back to my point, I really think that he crafted these beats in his way, but really kind of for Killer Mike, at least with this album, because it hedges more toward like a southern flair. It makes me think of like what kind of rap LP was listening to around that time. I wonder if there's like an interview or something where he talks about it, but it's interesting because it sounds sort of similar to like RTJ1, but it leans more into like territory that we could see Killer Mike over. Even though then again, it sounds nothing like any other Killer Mike album. So who knows? I might just be talking out of my ass.
I'm wondering who came to who about the project first. I'm sure they have an interview where they say this.
I've watched interviews with them, and I've never heard them answer that question. Because I wonder, like their relationship.
Or if it was Adult Swim's idea, because Adult Swim did like have like a William Street or whoever did have like a very active creative music department, and they might have just like decided, hey, this sounds like a good idea.
I mean, I could see it. I would be interested in knowing like how the first like sessions went, if like the chemistry was off the charts so quickly.
Yeah, but if you haven't heard this album, you absolutely need to hear this album. I don't want to go on it too long because this is technically a Run the Jewels episode, and this is technically a Killer Mike solo album. But it is like super foundational. If you are a Run the Jewels fan, and you haven't heard this, like you need to hear this immediately because it's more lyrically focused than any Run the Jewels album. Like every Run the Jewels album has political elements to it. This is pretty much straight front to back political.
Yeah.
Southern Frost. Probably the only track that isn't, I would say, and even that has lines.
Yeah, and it's not like I said earlier, like it's not like you're listening to.
Oh no, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Like that's the thing. Is like
yeah, but it still has the hype. It still has the hype shit and the more like you said, Southern Fried. Like it's still its ethos is still like Southern hip hop. It just has that like Ice Cube. Kind of like
right. It's more like
personality,
more like Ice Cube than Dead Prez.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, incredible album. Better than any Run the Jewels album. Actually, not to slight any of the Run the Jewels albums, but it's definitely better because I feel like every Run the Jewels album has at least one song that people would feel divisive about, or one song that I personally am a little on the fence about compared to the others. Whereas there's nothing on this album I would skip, change, or that I feel is less than the others.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly sequenced. Like I said, 45 minutes. It's airtight. It's focused throughout. You got, it's a lot of punching in the face. Reagan is still one of the best songs either of them have ever done. And yeah.
Now, if you think about the sequencing, sorry to cut you off, it's like it comes out with Big Beast, which is a big fucking beast, which just unreal. Reagan right in the middle with the defining political statement, which really explains so much about how the country ended up the way it is, rappers ended up the way they are. Like so much rap is about trapping. How did trapping end up happening? Crack. How did crack end up happening? Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with the title track, the defining statement, which is just such an incredible, like that beat is so rap. Like that's almost like a killer, like LP doing Just Blaze on that beat. I feel like it's so just like anthemic and like hype, like for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it really is, and Killer Mike is just like I said. We did Freddie Gibbs, last week, and Killer Mike's another guy where he's seen everything. Like he's been there. He's been in the streets for the majority of his life. And he talks about interviews. Like he knows what's going on, and he's also just like a really, he, at least from what I can see in interviews and in his public speaking or whatever, he's just a really good dude, and like he's very socially aware, and you can tell that he's pissed off on this album. Like you don't even need to be like an experienced, with his catalog or with him as a person to just listen to track one. You're like, oh yeah, this guy seems pissed off.
Yeah, pissed off is good. And the thing is, I think that's why Run the Jewels works so well as a duo. Is they're both pissed off, but being friends kind of like mitigate. It doesn't lessen their anger, but it kind of mitigates it that they have someone to share it with. So they have like the buddy movie chemistry with each other.
They do, and they kind of they play off each other so well because you have that like freaking like anger, that anger and the frustration and the humor though. To your point, once we get to the Run the Jewel stuff, like the humor is there, even if it's only sprinkled in throughout. Like the humor is there to give you like enough of a break from some of the other heavy stuff being discussed.
Well, do you want to move on to the first one? I think we pretty
Which
much.
which I think is the funniest. If
Yeah, definitely the funniest.
the lightest in tone. I think it's the weakest one, but it's also the lightest in tone.
It definitely deals with the least heavy material. Although there is definitely heavy shit on here. It definitely feels the most like they came into it thinking it was just a one-off goofy thing to do, like a free album. All their albums would be free, and shout out to them for doing that. Like they've always stuck to that, and they've never deviated. So wait, was the fourth one free?
I don't know. It was on their website. I just got it from streaming, so I don't know if it was
Probably.
free or not.
Either way, the first three were free, and if they made you pay for the fourth one, I don't mind. But I wouldn't be.
I feel like there might have been like a pre-order for it, but I'm pretty sure if they put it up on their website, it was free.
It's probably free, but neither
Yeah.
actually. But yeah, this is definitely one that they came at like it was just like a fun thing to do because they liked working with each other so much on rap music, and it's the most battle rappy of them. They just like do bullshit raps for a lot of it, although they do again address bigger topics on some songs. The best song is the last song, which will be a recurring theme for them. And that's one of their top 5. That's like definitely some people would probably say it's their favorite Run the Jewels song. I wouldn't argue with them. Probably top 3 for me. I think that's like a defining verse for both of them.
Yeah, and like just the way that they go back and forth with each other, like it's just that you listen to that song and you're like, oh yeah, I'd like a second album from these guys.
Also,
like it's
a hilarious video, if you've ever seen it. They're like both in Christmas sweaters, like dressed up like a Christmas card.
yeah, I saw it years ago. I don't remember, but I do remember that, like the fact that they're in Christmas like sweater gear. Banana Clipper's amazing.
Banana Clip, awesome, and I think that was a big deal at the time because I'm pretty sure that Big Boy and Killer Mike had beef.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Sure, I'm not 100%, so I would say that somebody should correct me in the comment box. But that would imply that we have viewership that isn't just people.
No, they did. I just looked it up. Apparently it was back in about like
Funny.
it was like late 2000s. Because Killer Mike was signed to Big Boys and label. And then like I think it was like a business thing.
Yeah, it was like a money thing.
Yeah. But apparently they reconciled in the 2011-ish. So.
But yeah, so it was cool that they did that song.
Yeah, and also 36 Chain too. 36 Chain is a hard ass song.
I think I will always maintain that Sea Legs is a great and obvious diss on Jay and Kanye.
Yeah, because they had the Nigerians will perish in Paris line.
I stand on towers like Eiffel. I rifle down all your idols.
Right. Which is interesting because Kanye hadn't. I wonder what prompted them to throw shade at Kanye and or Jay. Like I mean, Jay had. I wonder what each of them thought about it because Kanye wasn't in his Life of Pablo onward era yet where he got super polarizing. Well, he was always polarizing, but this was like Yeezus era, so I don't know. And that lyric was a Watch the Throne thing, so I don't know. Maybe because they didn't
always like you would always get stray shots thrown their way just because I think they were on top. Like, I remember on one of the best posse cuts of all time, the Last Is All remix, you have Esquire says, "Fuck the throne, watch the project bench covered in pigeon shit."
Mm. I mean, yeah, probably because they named the album like The Throne. So,
Right.
So,
Bullseye on your chest, target on your back.
yeah, and I feel like I mean, they named the album The Throne, and there's like one song on there that has anything to do with not their money. So,
Yeah.
that might be it.
There's one song say, "Wait a minute, we care." Now back to our money.
Exactly. Unless you're listening to
One song complains about people didn't appreciate what a good job he did when he was running a label. There's that song too.
is that the Made in America?
Or "Why I Love You," the Mr. Hudson song.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was a good king, wouldn't I?
Oh, I mean, unless you want to listen to sentimental Made in America raps, you got that.
I love the Frank Ocean hook on that. It's like the corniest Frank Ocean hook of all time, but I still like it.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Wicked correct.
He sounds great. He always sounds great.
Yeah, there's like no way Frank can't sound great. So
he sounds
great. 15 seconds he's on. Like, what is with Kanye and finding like ways to use Frank Ocean for like 10 seconds on things?
That was because remember, for like the first 6 months the album was out, it wasn't like Frank's track. It was at the end of Wolves.
Right.
So it sounded so perfect at the end of Wolves, but he made it his own track. I'm like, why the fuck do you do that?
No, I was also referring to Yeezus too and New Slaves. He's on New
Oh
Slaves.
yeah.
15 seconds. Too high, yeah, and then that's it.
Oh, the outro. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. I don't know. I guess he's never gonna have a full Frank.
Yeah, the most he ever uses it was on No Church in the Wild, probably.
Probably, but even then, it's only a hook. He doesn't give. I mean, we know Frank could lay down a verse. He didn't give Frank a verse.
Right. We've all heard American Wedding.
Right, exactly.
Sunday, one of the top 10 diss songs of all time.
Yeah, seriously. We heard Frank on Kanye was like, oh yeah, that was my first thing that jumped in my head. It was Oldie. Like, I always wondered and if he was ever thinking about like rapping more on his albums. Because you look at those like Lucy's that came out after Blonde, like all the ones that came out in 2017, and it was a lot of like sing rap.
Right, like Chanel.
Right.
Like that was
Provider.
I put that into like a little EP that I put together with Flower Boy, and I played the shit out of that CD.
I maintain that if you took what was it? It was Chanel, Lens, Biking, Provider, and
Fight on Me.
Yeah, if you took those 5 songs, put them in a EP, that's at least a 4.5 star EP, at least.
I had those together with Raph because he's on Raph too.
Hey, right, yeah, and he has like a long part on Raph. He's like the second half of the song essentially. Yeah, and he's on the Calvin Harris track.
Oh yeah, you're right. I haven't listened to that one as much, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, although those and all those Frank Lucy's, man, summer 2017. What a time!
Feels like fucking 10 years ago at this point.
It feels like 30 years ago. Oh my god, I was like,
been really good to us musically. The only thing that would redeem this year at this point, new Frank Ocean album.
It has been 4 years, and he's been doing the 4 years thing. 4 years between, Channel Orange and Blonde. So.
Channel Orange came out in the summer. Blonde came out in the summer.
I mean, just August. August is, I could see it. Did you see Charlie XCX tease another album today?
Yeah, and Freddie teased another album too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're gonna get so much fucking music this year.
I mean, they have nothing else to do, so get going tour.
Unreal that we're this lucky, and also the state of the world is this shitty.
The state of the world is this horrible. So at least we have music.
We have music. So do you want to?
I guess we should go back to, well, yeah, like, I mean, there isn't really much to say. Like, I think the Prince Paul as Chest Rockwell feature is fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
That was a nice little touch from, and they would get Prince Paul back again when we get to the Kitty Cat remix album, too. So it's nice that they kept remembering Prince Paul. How do you feel about the, I've never heard of them before since indie rock feature on Job Well Done?
Yeah, I have not listened to either of their albums. I know they're a UK like all R&B act, I think. I'm gonna look at their page. But I have not heard any of their solo material. But I thought the song's pretty good.
The song was good. Hook's like the worst thing on the album.
Yeah, it's not a song that I would like go back to, but it's not a bad song. There's no like bad songs on here, but I feel like there are like 5 of the 10 songs are like standouts, and the other ones are like, yeah, this is cool.
I can't believe that I'm looking at my review and A Christmas Fucking Miracle wasn't a 5. I had it at a 4.255. I have Get It at a 5. What the fuck? I need to fix that. That's A Christmas Fucking Miracle is like the song on this album. So yeah. But yeah, it's a very good album. I'd say it's the least of the 3. Still, like, and essentially, like, if you listen to this and you don't like it, don't bother listening to anything else, because they all kind of sound like a progression from this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I disagree with anybody who says they kept making the same album, but like the second one, which we'll get to right now, sounds similar, but I would say more extreme.
Yeah, the second one, which I guess we'll just start talking about now. Like the second one.
Do you have anything else to say about the first one? Like, I really think.
No, I don't. I think it's a good album. It's often a very good album. I don't go back to listen to it, but I wouldn't begrudge anyone who did. That's basically my stance on it. And I prefer this one, which we're going to talk about now, which I think you could have made a case. The case could be made that it has the highest highs, or at least some of the highest highs in any Run the Jewels album, because this thing comes out and the first 4 songs are just so high energy that I need like a fucking like Xanax tab after listening to like the first 4 tracks.
It's the first song, the intro is absolutely ridiculous in every way possible, and the next 2 are just a killer combination of like the amount of stomping energy and the thing is the tempo on the songs is not like that high. It's the energy the energy is mainly coming from the rapping. The beats are not fast beats. Well, Oh My Darling Don't Cry is a fast beat.
Yeah. Is that one or Blockbuster Night? Is Oh My Darling the one where he's like LP's like, I do 2 things, I rap and fuck, and then Killer Mike's like, I fucking rap and did it.
Yeah. That's one of the best pass-offs of all time.
Yeah, that like the hype for this album, like the first album, I wasn't like super like into like internet music, like, you know, forum culture yet, like quite there yet. But I remember being around and like being very online when this album came out, and it seemed like it was setting the world on fire like at the time, because it had so much more hype than the first one, and like I really cemented Run the Jewels as like a popular like rap act, even if they weren't like mainstream. Like a lot of people knew who the fuck Run the Jewels were because of this album.
Well, I remember shout out to Fallen RYM Soldier, the Horb Gorbler, who put out a really shitty take. I mean, I love Horb, but she had a lot of shitty opinions about shit. One of them was just shitting on this in the comment box before it came out just because it had Travis Barker and Zach De La Rocha features. And the Zach De La Rocha features will become a staple of the Run the Jewels albums, including like a really cool unbilled cameo at the end of the next one. Like, you didn't see him on the track list, so when he shows up at the end, it's a really cool cameo. And I actually think that makes sense, because I think Rage was, for a previous generation, a gateway drug to both politics and hip hop, and I think Run the Jewels are the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zach sounds at home on this. Like, you know, like I like Rage. I'm not like the hugest Rage fan, but I know people like malign that feature on Close Your Eyes, and I always really liked it.
Oh, I mean, like, he always could rap. Like some of the old Rage stuff, mostly the first album, feels juvenile, kind of cringy, but like he was always like a skilled rapper, like especially considering it's a difficult style he was trying to rap in. Like he was, I don't know, like he was fucking a 1990s, early 90s rapper, and he's still rapping in 2020, and he's still
Right.
able to rap well. Like
Yeah,
he,
his flow is still there. His delivery is still there. Like he's the technical stuff is definitely still there.
I will say, if you enjoy Run the Jewels and you enjoy Rage, you should definitely check out One Day as a Lion. Was a one-off EP that Zach did with John Theodore, who used to drum with the Mars Volta. It's like 5 tracks, 20 minutes. It's the best rapping Zach has ever done. It's really fucking good, and it's pretty much his rapping and drums. It's pretty minimal. It's really fucking hard. So I recommend that to any listeners who haven't heard it as well. So just a little recommendation. There are no bad tracks on here. I know the Gangsta Boo feature. That's I guess what the kids call a plebe filter, or
Yeah.
maybe a misogynist filter. I like how they throw that out there, considering how much L raps about his fucking dick. That he still pretty much puts a strong female voice in there every time he gets a chance.
Right,
And
and I don't think that's like the weakest track. I would maybe say like All Due Respect with Travis Barker, which isn't a bad song at all. Like it's still a solid track, but that's the one that I remember the least. Like I remember the hooks and like a lot of the verses on all these shits, like Lie, Cheat, Steal, Love Again, Angel Duster, Crown, like Early. Like I remember those tracks, but I don't remember like the fucking like the one with Travis Barker on it. But Love
yeah,
Again was definitely unfairly maligned when it came out. I feel like it's just because it had Gangsta Boo on it.
I mean, Gangsta Boo will have an even better moment on a few Run the Jewels albums from
Yeah,
here,
true.
but I mean, I can't say that I like look forward to this song, but it's my second least favorite on here behind All Due Respect. Although All Due Respect has a very catchy hook on it. Travis again, like Travis on hip hop songs, like he does his part, and sometimes you don't even notice him. Like
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
he's just like having a drum machine that's louder. Like, are we gonna get some Dave Grohl fucking rap features? I'm surprised he hasn't.
Well, you know that Dave Grohl. I wonder if I haven't been monitoring him, but I was looking to see because Nirvana, the bassist, right? One of the
Novacelic.
yeah, he came under fire for saying the racist shit last week or something like that.
Ryan mentioned something about it in chat, but I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, so I there was a joke going around Twitter where it's like the only members of Nirvana now, and it was just a cut off picture of Cobain and Dave Grohl. uh,
Yeah, fucking Angel Duster, another one of their, again, sequencing starts off with an amazing song, ends with an amazing song, so killer bookends, and they always end incredibly strong. Angel Duster is one of my favorite songs of theirs. The beat is unreal. The outro is one of the best things LP has ever done, right up there with the Iron Galaxy beat and the Flyentology beat. I like the scratch he does on the end of that, the anchor themselves with Angel Dust. I also think there are dislines to Kanye on this. I think they really don't like Kanye.
yeah, it does. I mean, and it's not like the stuff that came after would help that cause.
So I guess this does make sense as a pairing of an episode. um,
Yeah, I don't think they're fans of. I know they're big fans of Kendrick,
yeah,
but I know they're not Kanye fans. At least I don't think so.
I think the last 2 tracks lyrically are some of the strongest stuff they've ever done, and Lie, Cheat, Steal too. Very like they're so good with like sarcastic observational bars.
Yeah, like this. Also, Lie, Cheat, Steal has like a hook that has like it's so like I kind of had to get used to it, but then it just became like a really like dope song. Early was always one that I really liked, even though it can seem a bit much like on the surface. But I really like it, and I never had a problem with the hook or anything. Like I really like that song. Um, And I like LP's verse a lot on that song too.
I really like the way L ends his verse, where it's like start again, up again early, where it's just like he goes through all this shit that's going on, and then it's like at the end of the day, you just go to sleep, wake up, do it again. Like, I really like that sentiment. Like, there's a very much like a working man's quality to their music. Like, that's who they're making it for. And I get that out of the next album too. Like, I think that's why the title, last track, A Letter to the Shareholders. Like, they're speaking to like their fans as being like working class people. And like their contempt for like the fucking oligarch class is so evident.
I mean, it's very, very obvious, and because they came from, the bottom essentially. I mean, LP, now, I mean, both of them now obviously like have made good money from their music, but it's not like LP was popping off when he was making Company Flow.
Right, like no one, and those Cannibal Ox songs weren't getting played on fucking cleared Hot 97.
Yeah.
Fast
Funk Flex throwing bombs behind Can Ox songs.
Yeah, Fast Air was not getting played on MTV. So
yeah, they've and they know how important the devoted fan base has been to like their come up. So they know.
Just
I don't have anything.
For the deluxe, there is a deluxe version, iTunes deluxe version. It has some remix that I haven't listened to, but it also has Blockbuster Night Part 2 with Despot and Wiki on it, which has a different beat, different verses, and of course the Despot and Wiki features, which are both really good. Wiki with Run the Jewels is a totally natural fit, and Despot is really fucking funny. Now that it's 2020 and Jay Electronica dropped his album, maybe Despot will finally drop his.
Yeah, Jay Electronica dropped his collaborative.
Right.
Yeah, Wiki should be the next big rapper out of New York. His album last year was great. Everybody should listen to it.
Right, Jay Electronica dropped Like Father, Like Son with a.
Jay Electronica's Birdman.
He is from New Orleans.
Yeah. It's not a bad not a bad jump there. Oh God, Jay Electronica dropped "Watch the Throne," the Happy Meal version.
Watch the High Chair.
Watch the 5%ers. Oh.
Yeah, not a bad. Definitely a lot more in terms of like between like all my life like after the first 4-track run, it gets a lot more serious lyrically. I mean, All Due Respect is a callback, like goes back to just being kind of bullshitty. And Love Again is like its own thing in terms of theme, which I appreciate. Again, I don't really go to it a lot, but I don't skip it when I'm listening to the whole thing. I won't skip that. And I think it's very clever and funny. And if you get pissed off by it, they probably don't want you as a listener.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that just seems like if you're like, damn, I love every track on this album except for that one, that just seems kind of whack. Like, what are you doing? I don't think there's really a reason to hate that song.
But people were like, I remember the smoking section comment box on it. I just remember. I'm sure if you go back, don't go into the RWAM comment boxes for any reason, especially the ones for Run the Jewels albums, especially the one for RTJ3. Let's just get that out of the way. It's horrible. But yeah, people do not like that song. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Gangsta Boo, really good rapper. I don't know why she gets hate, but I do know why she gets hate. That doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I don't have this. I think this. If someone said this was their favorite Run the Jewels, I wouldn't like begrudge that. I think it's my second favorite, or at least maybe on par with the fourth one, which we're gonna get to later. It's probably my. It's not my favorite, but I could totally see why. Like, it's a great album.
Yeah, right now it's my second favorite, but the fourth one's really growing on me. Like, so right now it's my second favorite, but I think it might end up being my third favorite with time. So it's very, very solid. I listened to it a lot when it came out. So we're just gonna touch on real quick. These guys are fucking hilarious. So they did a Kickstarter for, I believe, the third album, and one of the they had a bunch of joke options on their Kickstarter. and one of them was that they did a cat-themed remix album, and that got a shit ton of money. So they decided they were going to do a cat-themed remix album and donate all of the money to an animal shelter. And they got a shit ton of real producers on this shit, including Just Blaze, Zola Jesus, Nick Cook, Jeff Barrow, Prince Paul, Blood Diamonds, Lil Shalimar, The Alchemist, Dan the Automator, and 3D. And it really doesn't sound like a joke album when you listen to it. If you didn't know it was a joke album, only the first track and the Prince Paul track sound like jokes. It's a fucking good remix album. I only listened to it once because I'd never heard it before listening to it as homework for this. But, I mean, it is funny, too. Like, when you know that the samples are all cats, obviously that's fucking funny. And they have famous cats and Snoop Dogg samples on the fucking first track. That's hilarious. But, I mean, there's nothing that is, like, really replacement for its original track. But,
yeah, I haven't.
Very amusing. Like, and also, I just realized the one I downloaded, I think, is missing the bonus track, so I need to find the bonus track.
I remember, like, not really being. I mean, you know, I obviously we know it's like just a remixes album, but I remember like it didn't leave much of a like impression on me. That might be my fault. I might go back and listen to it now, but
yeah, you should. It's actually like it's cool. I think you like it more than you. The fact that it only has a 2.5 on RYM is bullshit. I'm giving this up for.
I'll go back and I'll do my due diligence on it to make sure that I'm not, you know, underrating it in any way. But I haven't heard him forever, so I have nothing real to contribute on this. I only listened to it once, I think, when it came out.
The Just Blaze one was probably my favorite. The Prince Paul one is really funny. So, yeah,
I'll earmark those for listening for sure.
Moving on to the best Run the Jewels album, Run the Jewels 3, which dropped a month after Donald Trump got elected and was, everybody said at the time, a Christmas fucking miracle. And honestly, when I listened to this album, it felt like they were talking directly about the situation and to me about it. And this feels like an album that is trying to be optimistic in the face of a hopeless situation, which feels strangely relevant now.
Yeah, I think it reflects the mindset of what a lot of people were feeling then, and if they were feeling it then, I can only imagine I can only imagine what 4 years of this shit will do to you. Like, you know, like I remember in like 2017 there was a lot of shitty stuff going on, and like that was the first year, and I think people just became like not maybe apathetic, but just like used to checking Twitter every day and be like, oh, you know, Trump administration did this, whatever, on to the next thing, you know. Right, like it was just like, you know, hey, another week, another thing done by Mitch McConnell, like, and I feel like here we are now, and all this is going on, and just the amount of fucking, you know, crooks that are in this country, like just getting away with all this shit, and you got, you know, Trump having National Guard gas protesters and et cetera. We've all seen it, but being optimistic in the face of a horribly shitty situation, I mean, this album does a great job of it, and I feel like it holds up tenfold today. You know, we talked about it, just you and I going back and forth about re-listening to it yesterday, and how like it definitely holds up. Lyrically, beats, all of it.
Right. I think Down is an incredible opener. It's a completely different mood than Jeopardy was. Jeopardy was super hype. This is, like the title tells you everything. It's down. It's downcast. But it's like about getting up and doing your shit job, getting up, raising your kids, getting up and just fucking getting on your feet even though you don't want to be. And then the next two are more like traditional Run the Jewels hype songs after that. Talk to Me is the one I'd lose on the either Talk to Me or Legend Has It. Whichever one has the Gentle Giant sample and was the first single. I get the mix up.
I think Talk to Me was the first single, but I really like that song.
It's just like the weakest one on the album to me. I don't dislike it. No, I think we're talking about Legend. I'm thinking Legend Has It.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Legend Has It too, because Talk to Me.
Talk to Me, I like. Talk to Me, I like more.
Yeah,
Talk to Me is really fucking cool. Back. I really love their flows on that. The fast flows, run the jewels live at the garden, begging your pardon. Like that's like they. There was a guy on the fucking hip hop general thread who said, "I'm glad LP is rapping on the new one as opposed to what he's doing on 3." How the fuck is LP not rapping on this album?
Yeah, I think
Like,
LP's rapping on this album is top shelf LP.
yes. Although Danny Brown does do his best to steal the album. I love his feature on Hey Kids.
I mean, Danny Brown, just in his career, but especially in 2016, could not make a bad anything.
Yeah.
So,
He's on a feature and he wants to steal it. He will do his
yeah.
guy. And when he comes, architect with an architect, I part your neck. Like his flow, super just crazy. Like,
Yeah, I mean, a fucking Atrocity Exhibition era Danny Brown, like, that's just that's fucking top tier shit, man. Like, what a run that he was on that year.
I think Eves is probably the one that speaks most to our current situation.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. That and the last 2 songs.
Yeah, the last 2 songs. Although Thursday in the Danger Room is actually LP talking about Kemo Tao, I believe. The rapper who I think is his cousin who died suicide.
Which a really heavy fucking song. Great Kamasi.
Kamasi
yeah.
Riding the
Oh
sax.
my god.
Beautiful. Oh Mama is a very underrated song. That's one of my favorite songs of theirs. No one ever talks about it.
Yeah, that's a really great. LP's really good on that. I was listening to that last night.
And Panther Like a Panther, which is I was trying to remember the name of that earlier, is with the chorus, everybody down through the pistol and fist is like a perfect, like, I imagine that kills live.
Oh my god. I imagine all of their, like, most of their material probably kills live. Like, just
right.
it's that kind of, like, aggression.
I mean, I've seen some video of them live. I remember after, it's disgusting, I can't remember this, but it was after one of the many police fucking shootings, not the recent one, where they were supposed to do a show, and Mike said they normally come out to We Are the Champions, but he wanted to come out to Burn, and he was giving a speech. And, like, it's just, like, how great they are as live performers. Like, they're just a commanding live presence, so.
Yeah, and for the, I think it's them being commanding and, also the Run the Jewels audience being built up. Like, if you fuck with Run the Jewels, you obviously fuck with what they're talking about, So I think that's, like, a good part of it, is that it kind of impresses me that these guys have gotten as popular as they've gotten while just, I mean, not in every song, but for the most part, in some of their more, like, angrier, pissed off tracks, like, really talking about killing your masters, et cetera, et cetera. Like,
I feel like they ratcheted up with each album, and this album more than any.
Yeah.
Like, just exhausted and pissed off, and it ends with a message like literally "kill your masters." Like, fucking.
Right. I love your one-liner in the review about, you might not be able to, like, one person might not be able to kill their master, but collectively we can all do the damn thing.
Right.
And that is like the fucking, you could put that on the fucking digital download cover for this album. Like, that epitomizes that song and this album, and that fucking transition to Kill Your Masters at the end. Yeah.
That's incredible. I went so apeshit for that when I heard it, and then you hear Zach come in, you know Zach's on the fucking album, and then it's crazy. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely their most serious one. Like, aside from Talk to Me, Legend Has It, and maybe something like Don't Get Captured, even though not that because of the fucking lyrics. Like, there's no real, like, it's mostly serious shit. And I guess Panther Like a Panther, like, that's a hype song too. But
yeah, true. I think this is LP's finest moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, Canox, but I just mean, like,
rap wise, yes. Production wise, this and the next album are a level. Although I think he definitely hit, like, a production level up with his with I'll Sleep When You're Dead. Like, I mean, he's always been an incredible producer. Like, I listened to the second Company Flow album, which is all instrumental. like a month ago or so, and that was from 1999. And he's always been an incredible fucking producer. I just found him obnoxious as a rapper until Run the Jewels. And even as Run the Jewels, like he's rapping about his dick a lot for the first two albums.
Right,
Like,
yeah. I think
on
the
this album he has the one where he's like, I've got a unicorn horn for a, and then he like has the sample cut him off, which is funny. So like he realizes it. Like, so I think he's actually gotten like funnier and more self-aware with age as a rapper. So he's like the rare rapper who like ages well. Mike too, for that matter.
yeah, I think they're both, and I think on the first two albums, LP had moments, but I still think Killer Mike was like, a tiny bit like higher than him. You know, if I had to power rank the two, but I think on 3 and 4, their LP definitely stepped it up rapping, and the beats on 3 and 4 I think are my favorite beats from them as well.
I agree with both those statements, although I think Angel Duster is like a better beat than most.
True.
Like, Duster beat. Yeah. Stay Gold, very underrated. I've heard people call that a throwaway song. I love that. I love the hook too. Like, it's definitely like one of the more simple songs, but just them rapping their asses off over such a simple little break, I think they do that really well. I can't think of pretty much any bad things to say about this, except that I don't really like Talk to Me. Legend Has It that much. Other than that,
Yeah,
but,
I think Legend Has It is the only one that I would take off. But
and even then, it's not a terrible song. It's just like it kind of feels like them going through the motions a little bit, and it's a waste of a cool sample. But it's kind of like him doing the sample thing, where it's like he got a really clever sample and he flips it in like a really all cutesy way, like fucking Kanye with like Daft Punk on Stronger. Like Kanye would do that cutesy sample shit a lot sometimes. He also did, but like most of the samples on Graduation are really cute, but like the songs are fucking good, so I don't mind it. Like he fucking flips Steely Dan for God's sake.
yeah,
like,
and I love that song. So.
love that song. He makes a Steely Dan, like he does like a reggae break on a Steely Dan song.
Yeah, I mean that song should not work under any circumstances, and it's one of like the most uplifting like songs he's ever done.
I don't know if I said this one on the podcast before, but my theory is that he has the Lauryn Hill line on that song is because he wanted Lauryn Hill to sing on that song, and she refused.
Kanye is a Lauryn Hill stan, and he just wants her to work again. And Lauryn Hill's like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna keep fucking over my collaborators."
I mean, it's funny because that would have made another perfect transition to the second half because he wanted to get Lauryn Hill on one of his Wyoming tracks, and she eventually did 2 years later. Lauryn Hill.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine like if they tried to make a collaborative album together?
I mean, fuck it, man. Like, at this point, might as well. All Falls Down was supposed to be Lauryn Hill.
Wasn't there the one push? Well, there was a one Pusha track or something that had Lauryn on it. Like that was supposed to be from an album they were doing. And that was just like ended up being nothing. It was a really good song.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. Lauryn Hill's annoying. If we're gonna get at Talib, we gotta get at Lauryn Hill too.
Yeah, now we're just like we've ran out of ways to alienate fucking people who are fans of new rap artists. Now we're just going to people who are fans of rap artists from the 90s.
Yeah.
Those three, definitely. I would say my favorite of theirs. Their peak. Second best thing they've done together behind rap music.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think this is a really, really great album and hit me. I mean, I already loved it, but it definitely hit me harder just listening to it in the context of recent events, and that's what context will do to some music. Like, it's shitty to say, but I don't think this album is going to age very much. You know?
Yeah, I kind of hope that I don't have to come back to this album so much in the future.
Yeah, I think they hope that too. You know, and that's just it's a tough thing to think about, honestly. But yeah.
All right. On to just came out a couple of weeks ago. Run the Jewels 4, RTJ4. I guess they're going with the abbreviation thing. I'm sure this caused a 50-page thread in the RYM genre queue or whatever. So they're Trav had a really good review about this, about how he wasn't really looking forward to this album, and he didn't know why. And I wasn't really looking forward to this album. And I remember I was not crazy about the first single, which was the intro track here, Yankee and the Brave.
Mm-hmm.
And I, part of it was that I did not like Mike's verse on the Danny Brown album, and I thought it was lazy.
Right.
And then, I don't know, Mike just wasn't doing it for me anymore, and then I just was so much more excited for the Arm & Hammer album, and like there were a few, like Run the Jewels started doing features now, and like they had the one on the DJ Shadow album that like Nobody Speak, which is a great fucking song. And if you've ever seen the movie Booksmart, they used that in a fucking awesome scene.
Yeah.
Perfect. But like other than that, like it just kind of felt like maybe aside, like RTJ3 was great. Maybe they should have gone out on that. Like that was such a defining statement at a perfect time. And maybe we didn't need an RTJ4. Maybe Mike was just kind of exhausted. I don't know. But yeah, then I listened to it and it was really good. And like next to Arm & Hammer, it was not quite as exciting as it could have been, but it was still really good. And then, but I kept listening to it. And it is a outstanding album. The beats are some of the most adventurous LP has ever done, and points better than RTJ3. Walking in the Snow and Just, that 1-2 punch is some of the best music they've ever done. Walking in the Snow is a top 5 RTJ song and a top 5 Mike verse, period. I really like the Greg Nice and DJ Premier song. I think that's a fun throwback.
Yeah, and I wasn't huge on it at first, and it grew on me a lot. I was like, God, I love these verses, but I'm not crazy about the hook. But then the hook is so silly that like it's kind of, you kind of get like sucked into it. Like it's kind of you're like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like this is a funny song. It's like a really good song, and I love the scratching toward the end of it. Yeah, great track. Yankee and the Brave. I didn't hear that song before the album came out. I didn't listen to any of the singles. Like you and like Travis, I don't know why. I wasn't anticipating it. Like it just, I don't know. I was listening to a lot of things that were way different from Run the Jewels, and like I don't know. Like I wasn't amped for Run the Jewels when I'm over here listening to like 100 fucking cloud rap releases. I don't know. So it's just like it wasn't in my headspace at the time. But I listened to it. I think I want to say like the day after it dropped, and of course it dropped because of how they were like, fuck this, everything sucks. And Yankee and the Brave came on, and that song was, to me, I don't know if it improved with you with album context, but to me it was hard as fuck from the jump.
It improved with me it improved for me with album context for sure. I think he worked on the beat since he dropped it, first of all. And Mike's verses, like his first verse is fine, but then his, like, by the time he gets to the thing about the cops, like the one about the cops done, that's fucking amazing. I love that line. And yeah, there are some great. I think L outraps Mike again on this one, but I think Mike has some incredible verses, and his verse on Walking, the first time he comes in on Walking in the Snow, is probably the best verse on the album.
Yeah, that verse is fucking. I mean, just the him talking about like, yeah, the real tragedy is that you've been robbed of your empathy. Like you don't have empathy anymore because you keep seeing this shit over and over, and eventually it just sucks your soul so much that you just become apathetic towards like police killing, unarmed minorities.
System where it's like, goes from the test scores to the prisons to the, police murders, and you watch it and you don't care. Like the way he builds it up and outlines it and then makes you the listener like is incredible.
You think as a listener, I feel like it challenges your perception. Like maybe your internal perception of like, I think a certain way, like, I'm obviously appalled by, these senseless killings and tragedies and the fucking police brutality and how much of a horribly racist institution and, the police are in this country. But he also, in that verse, like you said, it's just like, the most you give is a Twitter rant. Like, you might call it like a tragedy, but you'll never face it, and I wish that you could face it personally, because then you'll really see how fucked up it is. Obviously police killing black people is terrible, but you're not challenged in the way that Killer Mike just shoves it right in your face, where he's like, actually, I've been there.
Yeah,
And it's haunting.
He's challenging the whole hashtag resistance mindset with that.
Right.
It's incredible, and the way it goes, like the slave line in that, like, definitely sets the groundwork for Just, my other favorite song on here. I love Pharrell on this.
I love how
Pharrell.
Yeah, Pharrell. Sorry, Pharrell is so goofy, but he's just like, yeah, look at those fucking slave masters on your dollar.
Oh no, I love that. And he's like, say slavery was abolished, the 13th Amendment, shit. Like, he does the David ad lib.
Pharrell doing the she.
Yeah, that was so awesome. I love this song. I think this is a great song.
That beat is so fucking hard too.
Yeah. I've been going around work singing, look at all these slave masters, which is probably not a good look for me.
Also, circling back though, Out of Sight with 2 Chainz. That song is so fun.
Yeah, 2 Chainz rapping. I'd buy a hot dog stand if I was trying to be frank.
2 Chainz, man, 2 Chainz is so fucking funny. God, he's just like, and what's so great about that is, like, Mike and L respect 2 Chainz so much.
Oh, of course.
They're in like that similar position where they're all like OGs at this point.
I'm pretty sure that pissed off a lot of fans too, or like, wait, 2 Chainz, what the fuck? Like, and again, like, if you like every verse on this except for 2 Chainz, they probably don't want you as a listener.
Right.
So.
If you haven't listened to Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, then they probably don't want you to be a listener. Like, come on.
I think Never Look Back and The Ground Below are a little unmemorable. I think there's like a rock influenced second half that's not as good as the hip hoppy first half. Because I think that Just and the last track, which are both so good, it gets a little like, I mean, I like the Josh Homme and I don't know how you pronounce it.
Pulling the Pin song, yeah.
Mavis song is like, that's a really good song too. But like, I prefer, like, the first half is like probably the most direct. It's more directly hip hop than RTJ3. I think like the Ooh La La is obviously like the most throwback hip hop song they've ever done, and Out of Sight's very throwbacky too. It kind of reminded me of something, like, kind of reminded me of the first track on 2009 with Currency and Wiz, actually.
Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison. I can see that.
So yeah, but then the second half feels like it's got a little more of a rock influence, which I feel like they do on most of their like, even from the first album, they have that indie rock band, and then the second half is mostly like, it's kind of like rockier than the first half. Which, again, they started out on on Adult Swim's label, like they're catering to a certain audience. Like I said, I feel like they have a kind of like a gateway drug appeal to like fans who might not be like, Moo Kid always slags them for being the one hip hop group that some people listen to, and so fucking what? So what? At least they're listening to a good one.
Right, exactly. And also, I think there's like a 10% grain of truth in that. Like, I get it, but I also think that, why the fuck would you be listening to these two like long-time underground rappers in the first place if you didn't know hip hop? Like, that doesn't click for me. I know they're popular now, but like, that still doesn't. That doesn't add up to me personally. Like, I think that, like, I don't think you just get into Killer Mike and LP.
I see what you're saying, but I think that there's also, I think it's more like a 45 to 50% grain of truth, because I think the way they were marketed and I don't know. Like, I think that think about what I was saying about the second half of the album being more rock influenced, and like, and again, like the fact that these are fans who are skipping the Gangsta Boo feature. They probably hate Walking in the Snow. They don't get it.
Yeah, that would be a no from me on that.
Like, they're probably people that Mike and L probably really wouldn't want as fans.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, look, I still feel like that's a very small minority of their fan base. I hope.
But
yeah,
I think time policing what people can and can't listen to and trying to make assertions about who's listening to the music.
Yeah.
I do that exists in the fan base, but I don't,
It's like, I'm not gonna think that I'm less cool or whatever like that for listening to fucking Run the Jewels. Like, I don't care. Like, I
I like it because it's good music, and when they stop putting out good albums, I'll stop listening to them.
Right, exactly. I think there are stigmas around certain artists because of fan bases, and it's just like, to me, if the music's really good, like I don't care at all. So I don't really pay attention to the noise when it comes to them. Like you said, the Never Look Back and the Ground Below, they're not bad songs. Those are the only 2 tracks in the album that I don't like Return to, but the other 9 are great songs, all of them.
Exactly, and I feel like they're going to continue putting out music at their own pace, and it seems like whenever there's a bad shit going on in the world, it seems to motivate them more to collaborate and put something out. One thing that was said in the hip hop general that I kind of agree with, and I kind of said this earlier, is that since they've done Run the Jewels, they seem to only do Run the Jewels, and it'd be kind of cool to do something with another producer or L produce for somebody else.
I feel like if LP made a solo album now, it might be his best album.
I mean, L's production has been so fucking amazing. Like, he's just getting better and better as a producer.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure, but I would love him to produce for other people as well.